The question is, how is he going to bring them to the table? It's the only question. If you believe that Trump was going to end a war in a day between Russia and Ukraine, well, I don't know what to tell you, except you are easily fooled. Because to believe that is to believe that Russia has nothing else to do but wait until they are told what to do by Donald Trump. And that is not the way Vladimir Putin works. That's not a slam against Trump. Those are just the facts. Nothing more, nothing less. The idea that somehow Trump was going to say jump and Putin was going to say how high is just goes against all reality. Trump is now angry with Putin, threatening new tariffs on Russian oil. Meanwhile, you've got Volodymyr Zelensky out there saying that, oh, he's not going to make a deal. No. There won't be any deal with the United States when it comes to mineral rights. Don't be silly. Well, wait, I thought there was going to be a deal. I thought you were ready for a deal. Oh, no, that's a peace deal. That's not a deal on mineral rights. Well, that's okay because we were going to do the deal on energy. Oh, there's not going to be a deal on energy now. And all this has Trump being very, very clear.
Zelensky, by the way, I see he's trying to back out of the rare earth deal. And if he does that, he's got some problems, big problems. We made a deal on rare earth. And now he's saying, well, I want to renegotiate the deal. He wants to be a member of NATO. Well, he was never going to be a member of NATO. He understands that. So if he's looking to renegotiate the deal, he's got big problems.
I don't know what he thinks he's going to be able to do. But certainly, as we would all have understood from the very beginning, there is no NATO membership. There is nothing that's going to bring the United States into a relationship where Article 5 could be so easily put to the test. An attack against one is an attack against all, drawing the United States into war. It's just not going to happen. Ukraine will be the buffer between Russia and the NATO nations. That is just their lot. That is not going to change at all. That's not going to change. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything over at TonyKatz.com. Easy to find, live streaming as well on YouTube, on the Twittix at Tony Katz. You can check that out for yourself. Twittix is Twitter or X or whatever it is you want to call the thing. But now, never mind whether or not there's some deal with Ukraine. Never mind whether or not there's some deal with Russia. How are you going to get them to the table if they won't come? How do you get the war to end without a level of strength? This is where I diverge from the populist. And as a matter of speaking, I am not a populist. And I don't know what that makes me in the pantheon of hosts right now on radio in America. I'm very okay with being on the island. Not a populist. I don't think populism is worth the paper it's written on. You must have a core. That's my take. Populism moves with, just the times. There needs to be a core. There needs to be something fundamental. Even if you're not somebody who ascribes to any specific religion, you could say that there are tenets in your life that you do connect with, that you do engage, and that give you that sense of a standard, right? Rules for the road, which I'm a big believer in. I don't believe populism has rules for the road. Rather, populism has winds on which one can blow, right? Bruce Lee could say, be like water from now until forever. I don't think that's true of one's politics. There is an idea, a philosophy, and the philosophy provides a value or it doesn't. And I believe conservatism provides a value and populism doesn't. But the question before us was, what happens if Trump cannot bring Russia and Ukraine to the table? You made a declaration that you would bring peace in a day. It'll end on day one. Now, admittedly, that's standard political talk. Anybody who actually thought Trump could end this on day one was out of their mind. But Trump said the words, so Trump has to deal with those words. But I would look at people who thought this, who truly believe this, and laugh at them because nobody truly believed this. But now what happens in a very real way if Trump can't get Russia and Ukraine to make a deal? What happens at that moment is it's a big question, a massive question. Allow me to at least give one answer, because no part of this is easy. Never assumed it easy. And part of the reason I never assumed it easy is probably the reason you didn't either. We're alike in many ways. We never once made the assumption that Russia was waiting for us to tell them what to do. Not everybody believes that. Some people absolutely thought Russia would do whatever we tell them to do. Oh, they're going to be afraid of Trump. They're just going to jump. No, that was never going to be. They were going to lie. They were never going to jump. They would do some things, because certainly Trump is a more formidable person to deal with than Joe Biden. But Putin has desires, and those desires are expansionist. And when we get into this idea of Trump being angry with Putin, threatening new tariffs on oil, as being discussed, Trump was PO'd with Putin because he's not going in the right location, saying that Ukraine should be replaced with a temporary UN-run government. Trump saying I was PO'd about it. But if a deal isn't made, and if I think Russia is at fault, quote, I'm going to put secondary sanctions on Russia. 25% to 50% tariffs on Russian energy exports. That means anybody buying oil from Russia will not be able to sell that oil into the United States. The tariff numbers will be too high. It'll prevent them from being able to sell. Now, that doesn't mean it won't get purchased by China, because maybe that drives the price down. But in either case, it doesn't help the Russians one bit. This gas station masquerading as a country, as the late Senator John McCain put it, maybe the only thing the man ever got right. I want to state that this moment is the greatest explanation for why the United States has to be in charge of the world order. Because when you put on the table, well, we can make a deal, we'll make a deal, there's a deal to be made, we're going to make a deal, it's going to be a beautiful deal, and then no deal is made, you're offering up the opportunity for somebody else to make the deal. That's what you're doing. If the United States can't make a deal, but China can, does China now get the rare earth minerals? China, which already can engage the idea of Russia as a vassal state, now do the same with Ukraine and all of that ability to grow food and those rare earth minerals? Maybe the better thing to have done would be to give Ukraine bullets and ammunition. Don't worry about getting paid back. Keep the Russians at bay and keep the Chinese at bay. Maybe that would have been the better thing to do. Maybe if you had given them the ability to use long-range missiles early on, you could have more damaged the Russian opportunity, and maybe this war would have been over. But Biden didn't do that. Maybe if you don't ask for the money back, but recognize that the money spent might actually give you an advantage down the road, maybe that would be better. Maybe it turns out that foreign policy involves the biggest stick you ever saw in your whole damn life and writing a couple of checks. That is absolutely upsetting to the person who is MAGA because that person says that's the old guard and that way can't work anymore. We can't be in the forever wars and we can't be the world's policemen. They have an argument. I don't discount their argument, and I look askew at the people who do. How dare you discount where a good number of voters are, and a good number of Americans are? They're just sick and tired of the same old, same old, same old. And they have been willing to let Trump give it a go. Right. I swear to you, there are still people on the political right who don't understand that. It's the Bill Kristol nonsense lot. There are places where that methodology of saying we're done with you, you figure it out, we're not writing a check anymore, has purpose. So, for example, if we tell NATO, we're not here to cover the bill for you, and then you hate us and you dump all over us. Screw that. We don't get anything out of this relationship. Our job is to pay morning, noon, and night to keep the Russians at bay. What are you doing for us? All you do is attack us, insult us, demean us, degrade us. And then with these trade deals, you know what? Screw it. You either pay into NATO or we're done here. That is the proper engagement. 1,000%. And we should argue that Joe Biden did an incredible job of galvanizing NATO, because they all saw what happens when the United States is feckless and won't actually punch. And these European nations said, my gosh, we better do something to protect ourselves. And so they started to increase the spending. And then you saw Sweden and what was it, Norway come in, because Finland was already a member. And they were like, well, dear Lord, we can't trust these Russians anymore. And I can't trust America to keep them at bay. We need to be a part of NATO. I mean, that's just what happened. That's important. Resetting some of the stage on that. But when you tell people you're going to end the war in a day and you can't get the Russians to even agree to the deal they made the week before, maybe writing the check and maybe giving Ukraine the guns and the ammo was the right decision to begin with. Maybe you can't end this. Maybe it'll only end when it ends. That's with the death of Vladimir Putin. That's with the total destruction of the Ukrainian people. I don't know. But maybe the checks we wrote were worth it. Let me say it again, as clear, maybe a little more clearly. Maybe the checks we wrote were worth it. Maybe we don't need to be paid back. Maybe that's the last thing in the world we should be caring about, is getting paid back. Maybe that's not how we get paid. We already had the discussion of we would take over your energy or we'll do the mineral rights. Well, that's putting in the security guarantees, because you know you're not going to let a power plant get attacked. You'd kill every Russian you saw. And I'm talking to you, Vice President Vance. Nobody questions whether you would kill every Russian you saw. You wouldn't. You're going to have a deal where you take over the energy, and the first thing you're not going to do is surround that power plant with 5,000 troops of some kind? Stop it. Stop it. That's what the deal was. It was security guarantees without saying the words. The way you bring Russia to a table is through the squeeze. The way you bring Russia to the table is through a squeeze that prevents others from wanting to help them to not be squoze. Squoze. Squoze in? Squoze? The United States should be invested in keeping Russia at bay and, without question, keeping them from taking Ukraine. And for the people who say that Russia doesn't have any expansionist desires, I will tell you that Trump threatening tariffs is the proof that they do, and Trump knows it. J.D. Vance in Greenland, Denmark has not been good to you. They have not honored you. They have not provided you with the security that you need or the infrastructure you need. The United States is here because we need your help to deal with the geopolitical threats like Russia. Proving that Russia is the expansionist power. Russia is a country that wants to do harm, and we have to be in the best possible position to protect ourselves and our citizens from them. Oh, sure, it'd be nice to get paid also and work out that deal for sure. But maybe the payment is keeping Russia at bay. Maybe the payment is keeping China at bay. Maybe the payment is, yeah, it costs us money, but it costs them more because it costs them people. And they can't afford the people. Maybe it does pay to be the very top of the pecking order around the globe. And maybe in order to do that, you got to send bullets and write checks. I'm not saying everything has to be the old guard way. I'm saying maybe some of it was done for a reason. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today.